Welcome to On the Sidelines, the show that discusses sports and how sports intersects our lives. I am your host, Paul McGrath, and I'm glad that you can join us for this show. Who was the first rock star in sports from this area who lived in Worcester but had some links to Westboro? This athlete was the first Black American to be a world champion of any sport. I am talking about Marshall Taylor, whose nickname was Major. Major Taylor was the world champion bicyclist in 1899. There is a boulevard named after him in Worcester, as well as a statue outside of the Worcester Library. Now there is a museum dedicated to him in Worcester. On the Sidelines had the pleasure of visiting the museum and meeting with museum manager Sharon Freed and Lynne Tolman, the president of the Major Taylor Association, to learn more about this man who overcame serious racism to become a world champion. Let's go to the museum. On the Sidelines is glad to be at the Major Taylor Museum at the courthouse, 2 Main Street in Worcester, Massachusetts, at Lincoln Square. Major Taylor was the world champion cyclist in 1899 and has a major contact here in the Worcester area. And we are glad to have the manager of the museum, Sharon Freed, and the president of the Major Taylor Association, Lynne Tolman. Ladies, welcome to On the Sidelines. This museum is fairly new, and Sharon, you're the manager. Can you give us a little history of where we are, how it happened?
It is new, yes. Thank you, Paul. Yes, we are located in Worcester's former courthouse down the end of Main Street. And when the city built its new courthouse down the street, this building was left vacant for a number of years. And then in 2017, a company purchased it. They were called Trinity Management. And the building was made into housing. So it's now all apartments, mixed income housing. And we're located on the first floor of that building. This used to be the law library, is our understanding, probably many things prior to that. And it was a little bit of a serendipity relationship between Trinity Management, the city of Worcester, and the Worcester Historical Museum, now is known as the Museum of Worcester, and it all sort of came together to really tell a very special Worcester story.
So how did we find out about Major Taylor? Why? We're going to go around later to the artifacts. Give us a little bit about Major Taylor, and I'm amazed at some of the artifacts that you have here.
Yeah, I'll let Lynne speak to that.
Okay. Well, Lynne, you are the president of the Major Taylor Association, which was started in the year 2000. So you've got quite a long history with Major Taylor.
Yeah, actually we started in the late 1990s as the centennial of Major Taylor's World Championship. As you said, 1899, he became a world champion. Second Black athlete in any sport to win a world title. First African American, US born, to win a world championship in any sport. So we had started in the 90s with a goal of putting up a statue of Major Taylor, which we did. It took a while to raise the money and commission the statue. 2008, that went up outside the Worcester Public Library. And then Trinity Management, as Sharon was saying, when they were going to redo this building into apartments, the CEO, a man named Patrick Lee, heard about Major Taylor for the first time and was taken with the story, came to the Major Taylor Association with the idea for the museum. And then, as you said, we worked with another museum, with a designer for the space, and with the developer. And this opened in 2021.
Right. So in 2000 or 1999, the association started. how did that all come about? I mean, who knew about Major Taylor? I mean, he has a big connection to Worcester. He lived here for, approximately 25 years or so.
Yeah, most
Most of his life.
Most of his life.
Yeah.
But somehow it faded away and then it resurrected again, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was working for the Telegram and Gazette as a reporter and then an editor, and I wrote the cycling column in the sports section. I stumbled onto the story of Major Taylor in a book. It was actually a book about the Tour de France, even though Major Taylor never had anything to do with the Tour de France. I looked him up in the newspaper's archives, wrote a column about him, and then when some other people stumbled onto the story, they said, oh, we should have a statue of him. He lived in Worcester. They called him the Worcester Whirlwind. And at first I said, good luck with that. I said,
Ye of little faith.
I said, keep me posted. I'll write about it if you do something. And then I got roped in, and we had a good team. Did the fundraising. The state legislature came through with the. We had done a lot of private fundraising, and then we got the rest through the state. And as I said, so the statue went up in 2008, and then we've continued as an educational organization, and now there are Major Taylor cycling clubs all across the country. There's a few overseas. So we started off with just a little bit of traction in Worcester and in the cycling world, and we've really expanded beyond that, and many more people know about Major Taylor now. And that's our goal. He should be a household name. What he did to pave the way for breaking barriers in sports was huge. He was the Jackie Robinson of cycling.
Well, he was a black athlete. As you say, he was the second black athlete to be a world champion. The first one was George Little Chocolate Dixon from Africa, Halifax, Nova Scotia. In 1890, he was a bantamweight championship. But he was, Major Taylor was the first American. But I think what you just hit upon was not only was he a great athlete, but the racism and what he had to go through is, I think, overcome some of the winnings that he had in bicycling.
Yeah, I mean, he had phenomenal natural ability and talent and discipline, training, but this was at the height of Jim Crow. This was the 1890s, more lynchings than any previous decade. This is when all the laws codifying segregation came in. You had Plessy versus Ferguson. That was the transportation law decision by the Supreme Court that basically said separate but equal is the law of the land. So he faced many closed doors and open hostility, everything from racist caricatures and cartoons in the press to some dirty tricks and tactics on the racetrack to death threats. It was in the headlines that he feared for his life. So that, yeah, the racism ran the gamut. And how he reacted to that and just rose to the pinnacle of the sport in spite of that is a phenomenal story.
Right, because he was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and then he would eventually come to Worcester. And I know reading his autobiography, he went to the Y with his buddies. But when he went to the Y, he could watch them work out, but the Y in Indianapolis said, no, you can't come down here. When he came to Worcester, that was different. He was able to go to the Y. I think he found Worcester a little bit different than Indianapolis.
Yeah, he was really stung by that experience in his childhood in Indianapolis. And he wrote in his autobiography that when he was allowed to join the Y in Worcester, he was pleased beyond expression. And that it gave him a new lease on life. And his workouts there, he really built up. He already had formidable leg strength. Right. And at the Y, he worked on his upper body, which you also need for track racing. And so that it was different here. And that was part of the reason we think that his coach and mentor and employer, a man named Bertie Munger, moved to Worcester. Munger was opening a bike factory here. Worcester was well situated for that. And he also thought that the racial climate would be better for his young protege here.
We assume we have people come in here for tours and to look at the exhibits here, but do we also touch upon the racism, as Lynn said, the Jackie Robinson before Jackie Robinson Do we also touch upon that to let people know the adversity and what he had to go through?
Oh, sure. I don't think you can tell his story without telling that part of the story. I mean, it was the time period. It shows the extent to which the challenges that he was faced with and that he was able to triumph over them as well. I think it's, the threads of that story continue to teach us to this day, for sure, absolutely.
We have some exhibits here. I don't know who did it, both of you maybe. How did we find them? Where did they come from? I mean, because we're going back over 100 years here. And some of the bicycles we have here are even older than me. But well, how did it all come together? Anyone?
So the Worcester Historical Museum, now called the Museum of Worcester, already had this vintage bicycle.
Which we'll look at, yeah.
And which is from Major Taylor's era. So that was kind of envisioned as one of the centerpiece artifacts here. And there are some smaller things too that we'll see. But largely it's images and text and some videos that tell the story. The layout of the museum, should I talk about that?
Yep, go right ahead.
We were calling that space the Worcester Room as the place to start with stories about Major Taylor's childhood, what Worcester was like when he came here, and there's an interactive map in there where you can see some sites around the city that pertain to Major Taylor's story. Then you walk through this room and get his career trajectory, and then on the way out, the legacy wall, we were calling it during the planning.
Okay, now, part of it was in Worcester. He trained in Worcester, and one of the streets that he trained on, I think to build up his leg strength, was George Street, which is one heck of a hill. Can we talk about George Street and what happens on George Street? Because it's not too far from the museum here.
One heck of a hill is a good way to put it.
Wicked steep is how we say it here. Yeah, and I've biked up it, and even when Major Taylor first came here as a teenager, George Street was a known challenge for cyclists, and he was told any cyclist worth his salt ought to be able to ride up that hill. So he came down to give it a try. And don't forget the bikes then, no derailleurs, one speed. The gear that you had was the gear that you had to do it in. And that street was cobblestones.
Oh, it wasn't paved then, yeah.
I actually recently found out, though, that what the cyclists did was they went up the sidewalk, which was probably dirt, probably not cement at that time. But that's narrow, too. You can't be weaving if you're just going up the sidewalk. Anyways, he did it. He wrote in his autobiography that he went up and down twice in quick succession. We don't know his time, but we have a race there it's just a couple blocks from here. We have a race on George Street every year now, a time trial, one rider at a time against the clock. And it's a spectacle. All kinds of bikes, all ages, all kinds of people. It's really something to see.
Well, you said he went up and down. I mean, if you're coming down, you're going to stop braking.
Yeah, it's one way now. We
don't talk about going down.
Yeah, we go around the block now. We don't come down.
All right. Now, I want to get away from Worcester for 1 second, because you said there are chapters throughout the country, but I saw on your face page there that there is a donut challenge bike ride on the Cape. Now, if I were to do a challenge on a bike, that would give me incentive. I don't know if you eat donuts at the end. Can you touch upon that? What's that one all about?
Actually, that was down in that was at Chesapeake Cycling Club.
Oh, I see.
So there are Major Taylor cycling clubs all around the country now. Some of them have Major Taylor in the name of the club, and some don't. But he's become kind of he's an icon for cyclists, a real inspiration. Kind of like how you have Roberto Clemente Ballfield, or it's one of those names that's really associated with cycling, and especially with cycling becoming more inclusive, a lot of these clubs have sprung up. So the Chesapeake Club has a donut ride. I haven't done that one, so I'm not sure when the donuts come in, if they're mid ride or at the end. But yeah, you can burn a lot of calories cycling. So my club here in Worcester, which is also affiliated with the Major Taylor Association, the Seven Hills Wheelmen, I mean, we always joke that that we used to say we're a biking club with an eating disorder, but and now we just admit we're an eating club with a biking disorder.
Because I think back at 1899 is when he was the champ, and he ran, I think he was a competitor until around 1910. But it was one of the major sports in the United States. Basketball, football wasn't quite there yet. And I think this was one of the major sports, if not the major, maybe.
Bigger than baseball.
Yeah.
There were more than 1,000 professional cyclists in the 1890s in the United States. That was more than the major league professional ball players. Thousands upon tens of thousands of people would come to the stadiums. They're called velodromes, were built all in cities all over the country. It was very big in Europe then as now. It was bigger than baseball. And the money was better than baseball. The pro cyclists made more money than the ball players too.
So he raced here in the US, but then he also went to Australia. He went to Europe. I think that shows how large cycling was, not only here in the United States, but worldwide.
He was really the first international sports superstar. He was headlines all over the world. They rolled out the red carpet for him in France. They tried for years to get him to come to Europe, and he resisted. It was a struggle for him it was a big decision for him just to go to Europe, because the racing over there was on Sundays. He was a devout Baptist. He went to John Street Baptist Church here in Worcester, was one of their big benefactors, probably where he met his wife, Daisy. And he did not want to race on Sundays. He was not going to work on the Sabbath. So he turned down $10,000, $15,000 in one report to go on a European tour until he got big enough, once after he was world champion, and he could call the shots and get it in his contract, no racing on Sundays. Then he went to Europe in 1901 and defeated every European champion, one after another, on their own turf.
Right. Yeah. Now, it was what he did, and they were out to get him. Many were out to get him in the races, but he had his strategies and overcame all that.
It's a tactical sport, and his talent, one of his signature ability, was to ignite a sprint at the exact right moment at the last minute. His opponents would often try to box him in. They called putting you in a pocket, and he was able to find an opening and get out of it. So that was his. He was smart. He had the tactics. You have to not only have the strength and the speed, but to game it out.
Okay. Well, I think unless we have something else to say, I think we should take a little tour, see what we have here, and go from there.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will continue with a tour of the museum, but first, let's look at Major Taylor's connection with Westboro. In his championship season of 1899, he won 2 races at the Charles River Track, one on May 30th, 1899, and the other on July 2nd, 1899. In between, he would race at the grounds of the Westboro Agricultural Society on June 10th, 1899. Thanks to the Westboro Library, we searched the June editions of Westboro Chronotype for information on the race. Unfortunately, the Chronotype did not have a page dedicated to sports. We did find in the June 17th, 1899 edition that the Westboro High School 9 and the Ashland High School 9 will play ball on the Ruggles Street grounds this afternoon. We never found the result. Since bicycling was a major sport, we did find a few more mentions in this area. Henry Gilmore advertised bicycles and sundries, prices $20 to $50. No address was given. George A. Macker and Company advertised bicycles cheap. No address given. In a column titled "For Riders of the Wheels," we found this. A fine-looking lady was observed riding a bicycle on the sidewalk at Syracuse, New York. A representative of the LAW Bulletin asked a copper as to the rule and was informed that any good-looking woman not over 27 years of age may use any sidewalk in the city for that purpose. If you have any friends in Syracuse, would you please check and let us know how that was enforced? All of this was in the Westboro Chronotype that would cost you $1.50 a year if paid in advance, otherwise $2.80. Our good friends at the Worcester Library were able to do some research from the Worcester Telegram, the Worcester Gazette, and Worcester Spy Archives. Westboro was indeed on the bicycling race schedule. There was a large race scheduled for the 4th of July, for which an additional grandstand was built, and the Boston and Albany Railroad reduced round-trip fares from South Framingham and Worcester to Westboro from 60 cents to 45 cents. But the big race featuring Major Taylor against his rival Tom Butler was a few weeks earlier, on June 10th, 1899. The Worcester papers gave much coverage to the event. 2 Westboro residents were officials for the race. F.A. Hinchcliffe was the starter, and L.R. Hapgood served as one of the timers. We were unable to locate their Westboro addresses, but thanks to our friends at the Westboro Library, we did find the location of the track on a map from an atlas of Worcester County by L.J. Richards and Company, dated 1898. Per the map, the track was located on the grounds of the Westboro Agricultural Society, located at the junction of Belmont Street and an unnamed street. Many of you know that Route 9 in Northborough is Belmont Street. In 1899, that name carried over to the Westboro portion of Route 9 that is now named Turnpike Road. The name Belmont Street can be seen in the middle of the right side of this map. The unnamed street is now known as Lyman Street. There was both a horse track and a bicycle track at the location. We do not have a picture of the track, but thanks to our former guest, Frank Morrill, we do have a picture of the Coliseum racetrack in Worcester, which is the type of track used for races at that time. What do we have next here? We got the...
yes.
There we go.
Well, there was a gentleman, a black man in Worcester. You can drive down his boulevard, Marshall Taylor. It's Major Taylor he went by. He was a world cycling champion, first black world champion, and of any kind. And he was from Worcester. He lived in Worcester some of the time. And this is not him.
Oh, it is not.
I was hoping.
I did a little research on Major Taylor, and I thought I have to talk to you about him.
No. I was hoping it was him with that shot by bullet. Now you look at that and you say, where is that? That's all wood.
Yeah, that was my question.
That's a wood.
Yeah.
You know where that was?
No.
Took me a while. There's 3-deckers in the background. See them up there?
Yeah,
just over the fence.
Yeah.
Big hill. That's almost across the street from East Park in Worcester.
Shrewsbury Street?
On Shrewsbury
Shrewsbury
Street.
Street.
This was located. I do have a picture of the whole stadium from way back.
So there was a stadium.
That's Gage Street.
Yeah, up top.
Those 3-deckers up top.
So
That's
you
Gage
think
Street.
This would have been on Shrewsbury Street?
Oh, I'm positive. That's exactly where it was.
And they actually had a track.
Yeah, they had a.
I wonder if it was where East Park was.
It's called. It's like a Coliseum. It was called. It looks like a. It looks like a. I'm trying to think of like a high school track, only wooden, lifted up. Stadium around it. Seats around it.
What did this negative have? Nothing. It just I don't know what.
It had no marks on it.
No marks. No. Unfortunately, Major Taylor lost his race in Westboro to Tom Butler, but was pretty much unstoppable until the World Championships in Montreal on August 12th, 1899. He was the first black American to win an international championship in any sport. And what made him prouder was the fact that for the first time, our good Canadian friends played the Star-Spangled Banner versus Dixie or some other tune that they did at that time. One last connection to Westboro. In 1903, Major Taylor was traveling with his wife to race in Australia. The Taylors were concerned about racism in that country. It was the purser that told them, "You need have no fear, Mr. Taylor, because anybody with your personality and gentlemanly conduct will command respect over there or wherever you may go." Of course, the purser hailed from Westboro. We do not have any name of that individual. Now on with the tour. Okay, we have here a bicycle. I guess that's the type that Major Taylor would have ridden. I don't know if it's his. Can we just go over this a little bit?
Yeah, so we're not sure of the exact provenance of this bicycle, whether it belonged to Major Taylor, but it's definitely the right vintage. It looks to be a German model, a Durkopf. You can see it has fixed gear, one gear, very big gear, very hard to push.
Right.
Wooden rims, adjustable stem so you can get down low and aerodynamic. Yeah. This is definitely the right vintage and the type of bike that Major Taylor would have raced on.
Or gone up George Street.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I've just look. I mean, look at the size of the tires, and it's all changed now.
Yeah, actually, today's bicycles are pretty similar.
Are they really? Yeah.
Yeah. Once we went from the high wheelers, like my Pin with the big front wheel and the itty bitty back wheel. Once they went from those to equal size wheels like this, it was called a safety bicycle. Mm-hmm. The high wheelers were they're difficult to get on and off. It's where we get the expression "take a header." The type of spill that you took off a high wheeler bicycle was head first. Yeah. So this was the safety bicycle. Really revolutionized transportation.
Safety bicycle, but now we have helmets and what kind of? They didn't have much protection, did they, back then?
No, they didn't wear helmets. They did not have derailleurs, so you just had the one gear. If you wanted to change the gear, you had to do some disassembly, put on a different chainring and different cog. This one, you'll notice, has no brakes. Mm-hmm. In track cycling, you don't need brakes. You go around the track, and when you're done, you just sit up and
let it go.
Slow down, yeah.
So how would you ever stop coming down George Street if this?
So you would have brake. You would have a brake on that one.
I see.
On a road bike. Yeah.
Well, this is quite a bike. So you can see it here at the museum.
Pneumatic tires were new in his day, and that really changed racing also. You can see the valve stems. These are
it does. You can see that.
Tires, yeah.
Okay, we're now in the Worcester room. Could you give us a little details of what we have here, Sharon?
So this space here, it tells I guess we'll call it his beginnings. How he's originally from Indianapolis and how he got to Worcester. And Lynne here was responsible for all of the texts that you're seeing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she's responsible for him coming to Worcester. But that's
she's the author of all of the text you're seeing in all the wall panels here. So, yeah, we talk about his childhood here, and then how I like to tell folks all the time that he arrived in Worcester. He and his mentor, Bertie Munker, arrived at Union Station in 1895, if you can imagine that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He was on one of the first integrated professional sports teams ever. Most of his racing was each man for himself, was not a team sport, but sometimes there are a team's event, and there's a team event called Pursuit. And you can see a picture of him with his four white teammates on an 1897 Pursuit team formed for one race, Boston versus Philadelphia. Major Taylor made the cut and made this team. Later, he was fierce rivals with these same guys, one-on-one. But they had been friends and teammates back in 97, and none of these individuals ever questioned his fundamental right to be in the sport. He did have some other opponents, mostly from other places, that were not happy about going up against a black man, especially one that could beat them.
So the bicycling was integrated over 50 years before baseball.
Yes and no.
Okay. Give me the
As
estimate.
we said, he faced a lot of hostility. He was banned from certain tracks. There were certain races that he couldn't get into. There were times when all the other racers were white. There were times when the other racers wouldn't race if he was going to be let in. As I mentioned, there was even death threats and all kinds of dirty tactics on the track, illegal combinations against him. So integrated, yeah, here's an integrated team, but he was the only one.
It was a one-time.
And it wasn't a bed of roses.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, we've moved on to a virtual bicycling here. Can you tell us how this works?
Sure. So these, as you can see, they are contemporary bicycles.
Yeah.
And what it's set up to do is folks, when they come and visit the museum, you can take virtual rides, virtual races. So you could be in the countryside, you could be on the street. So we really want to get people to have a sense of what it's like to be out there on a bike.
So am I going on a 1 mile ride, or what? Can I set up the race to go 1 mile, 2 miles, or how do we
You can set it up to do whatever you want it to.
do whatever I want?
Yeah.
Have you done it?
I have not. I don't ride.
Smart woman, I guess.
The cyclists are trying to get me on board with cycling. But they haven't succeeded yet, but I have a feeling they will eventually.
Okay, well, fun and games here at the museum. Lynn, have you tried it?
Yeah, I've done virtual races in other places where there's a needle on the screen that just shows how far you have to go, and you're racing against one other person. And it's hard because you're going all out and you're watching the needle and you're really trying to give it a kick at the end. It's hard. And I'm a cyclist myself too, so I know how hard it is to go up George Street. I've done that. So yeah, it's a fun way to bring it home what's involved in cycling.
So could you program this to be going up George Street? Have we got that far yet?
I wonder.
See, you got to work on that.
I don't think so yet.
All
but
right, there's something to work on.
I mean, there's probably you could do a hill,
Yeah.
but I don't think that we'd have to totally talk to the app, and they'd have to set something up specifically for George
All right,
Street.
there's something to do. All right, thank you. Okay, we're coming down this part of the museum. Sharon, if you could tell us what we have here.
Sure, these are 3 historic artifacts that we have on view here. You'll see this here is a pin, black versus white. This was a marketing tool for a race that was in Cambridge, right, Lynn? Yeah, I like to point this out because I think it's important for folks to know that the flip side of the racism, the extreme racism that Major Taylor faced, it was also a tool for selling as well. The fact that it was a black man going up against a white man as well. So there's always money to be made. This second piece here is, as you can see, is a French magazine, which has a very striking image on top. I believe this translates to the Illustrated Life. French is not familiar to me, but I feel like this is important because it shows his fame in Europe and all across the world as well. And then this final piece here, this is his autobiography, which he wrote after he journaled throughout his career, and after he retired for the final time, he tried selling this door to door as well. And you can get a modern copy. Do encourage folks to buy it or get it from your local library as well.
Right, I did buy the modern copy.
Oh, good.
Very, very interesting. So,
Yeah, we have one here too. It was just republished last year or the year before. So it is out there for folks to read. I wanted to say thank you, Paul, for coming to visit us today. Again, we are located at 2 Main Street in Worcester, Massachusetts. Our mission is twofold, I like to say, that we really want folks to come and visit and learn about Major Taylor's story. It's such a profound story to know. And also that we want this space to be available to anybody to host an event. You're welcome to come by. We're always welcoming students from primary school to secondary, and we've had college students in here as well. So you're welcome to visit our website, majortaylormuseum.org. And thank you so much. We hope to see you soon.
Well, Lynn, Sharon, thank you very much. This has been a great tour. I hope we get more people to not only learn about bicycling, but to learn about Major Taylor and his struggles, really, not only on the track, but in life and education in many ways.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
In Major Taylor's time, George Street was a cobblestone road with dirt sidewalks. We assume he rode the sidewalk. Now, to get a feel for George Street, we took a ride up George Street to show you how steep it really is. Okay, here we are on George Street. We're not at the beginning, they're doing a little construction, but I think we'll get the feel for what it looks like to go up George Street. As you can see, if we maybe can see, there are stop signs up there, but we can't see the street. So here we go on our own bicycle on George Street. Here we go. Up the hill we go, Aiden. A little bit easier in this. I see a sky. Don't see a road. Here we go. Going up. We made it. That ends our tour of the Major Taylor Museum that we highly recommend you to visit. Again, it is located at 2 Main Street in Worcester. Either before or after a visit, I invite you to read 2 books on Major Taylor. I bought his autobiography titled The Fastest Bicycle Rider in the World, and I borrowed The World's Fastest Man by Michael Cranish from our own Westboro Library. A couple final words on Major Taylor. After retiring from racing, he ventured into some business deals that ended in failure. He passed away a poor man on June 21st, 1932, in Chicago, Illinois. A headstone was dedicated to him on May 23rd, 1948, by the Bicycling Racing Stars 19th Century Association. And it reads, dedicated to the memory of Marshall W. Major Taylor, 1878-1932. World champion cycle racer who came up the hard way without hatred in his heart, an honest, courageous, and God-fearing, clean-living, gentlemanly athlete, a credit to his race, who always gave out his best, gone but not forgotten, by Bicycling Racing Stars, 19th Century Association, dedicated May 23rd, 1948. The inscription tells it all. Major is surely not forgotten. As we have seen, a museum is dedicated to him in Worcester. In a press release dated June 25th, 2025, U.S. Representatives Jonathan L. Jackson, a Democrat from Illinois, and Jim Baird, a Republican from Indiana, reintroduced the bipartisan Marshall Major Taylor Congressional Gold Medal Act. We reached out to our Congressman Jim McGovern to see the current status of this and received this reply. The Marshall Major Taylor Congressional Gold Medal Act was reintroduced on June 23, 2025, and currently has 60 co-sponsors. The bill was first introduced in the 118th Congress when it had 82 co-sponsors, but was not brought up for a vote in the House. Representative McGovern has signed on as an original co-sponsor both times. Although it's not officially in the House rules, the GOP majority leader's floor protocols state that the House shall only consider 5 gold medal bills during a Congress, and that the bill must receive 290 co-sponsors before it can be scheduled on a vote on the floor. Representative McGovern has spoken to the bill's leadership, Representative Jonathan Jackson, and is committed to working with him until the Marshall Major Taylor Congressional Gold Medal Act receives 290 co-sponsors required to be eligible for a vote in the House. This email was received from Jim McGovern's senior advisor, Matthew Bonacorsi. In closing, I would like to read you a poem that was written by Major Taylor that is included in his biography. It is entitled Black versus White. As white as you are, and black as I be, speed is quite natural to me. For black as I am, and white as you be, my color is fast, black you see. As white as you are, and black as I be, still I'd rather be me. For black as I be, and white as you are, I may be whiter inside by far. As white as you are, and black as I be, still it was nature's decree. For black as I be, and white as you are, I can be white, though blacker than tar. As white as you are, and black as I be, God created us both, and he can best judge, though black as I be, who's whiter inside, you or me. This is Paul McGrath saying thanks for watching On the Sidelines, and I hope to see you at the game. And if you're not in the game, I hope to see you on the sidelines.